Good morning. Greetings. I'm Dr. Sujuan, President and CEO of the National Foundation for Cancer Research. It is my distinct honor to welcome all of you to the 2023 Global Summit for Cancer Research and Entrepreneurship. I'm thrilled to see so many old friends, and I am very pleased to see some new faces. So I'm hoping that I get a chance to meet every single new friend here. Trust me, it's good we get to know each other. Everybody told me I'm a super connector, but it's good to be connected to the community, right? In addition to those of you who are here today at the National Press Club, we also have a large audience attending online through our oncology metaverse from all parts of the world. Thank you for being here and for your continued support for NFCR. This year is a very special year for us, especially important for the history of NFCR. It's our 50th anniversary, and that's a long time. And many of the audience in this room today and online have been with NFCR for longer than I have been. And I have been with NFCR for a long time, a quarter century. So I'm starting to date myself, but you can see we have a community that we stay together and we work together, we make impact. And I'm thrilled to see some of the earliest researchers from early years of NFCR here with us today. For the past 50 years, it's quite remarkable what we have been able to accomplish. Together, we have advanced cancer research and the understanding of cancer, and we have improved survival rates, and many lives were saved because of our collective work. Throughout the day, you will learn from the very best and most innovative minds in cancer research and oncology care. And these leaders will share their views and their insights about the recent discoveries and where we are going in the future. You will hear from oncology startups that represent the innovations and breakthroughs that are on the horizon. And today, you know it's good to be here. It's a whole spectrum of cancer research, drug development, celebration, honor science, honor scientists. You will have a great time. From a joint venture in 1973 between a scientist, Albert St. George Nobel Prize winner, and a retired entrepreneur, Franklin Salisbury Sr., and another very brave mind, a chemist, retired chemist, Tamara Salisbury. They built NFCR. And NFCR is where we are today, and we have come a long way. Our community of researchers, entrepreneurs, donors, and supporters have really stayed committed, focused, and ensure we advance research progress in our quest for cures. In 1973, these several leaders, together with many people, they have really overcome lots of barriers to start NFCR and to meet unmet needs in terms of providing the exploratory research fundings to scientists. And we believe that scientists need to have unhindered spirit and exploration in order to really explore and make breakthroughs. From then and to now, NFCR has met the challenge set out by the three founders proudly. and we will continue to fund what others wouldn't, the high-risk, high-impact, blue sky exploratory research. And those research, we believe, even though it would take a longer time, many times you don't see any tangible results right away, but eventually those the driving engine to bring the breakthroughs to patients. NFCR has been recognized to be one of those a few research organizations that are willing to take risk and help the scientists to be able to ask the big questions and push the boundaries and willing to take the risk, and so we can actually achieve things for the high impact research area. So like I said, I have been involved with NFCR for a long time, and I am thrilled that we have been able to assemble a community like what we have today. And by continuing our research and maintaining our focus, we will create a world where cancer is a disease that can be cured. And that is what St. George has said. And that is what I believe, and I believe all of you believe that. And everyone in this room, online, are helping to make cures possible. And I want to call special attention to the sponsors of the 2023 Global Summit. Your commitment to supporting NFCR and our partner organizations is critically important. Enable us to host events like this and to advance our mission. And we all know our gathering is quite unique in a way. It's not gigantic, and we aim to have an academy-like of gathering that everybody gets a chance to get to know each other, and so we can build friendship, partnership, and have new ideas, and many new ideas came out of this kind of gatherings. And you probably noticed that none of your name tags has your affiliation. That's by design. Everybody has to have a conversation, find out who you are, not who you are, you have the name there, where you are from and what you do. So from there, the conversation can flow. And you will be surprised where you get to end up with. Many people have been coming back to these meetings for decades. Now, I would like to present you Dr. Webb Cavenee, a renowned global leader and a visionary for cancer research, and the NFCR's chairman of the Scientific Advisory Board, to share his views, his vision about NFCR's scientific research, and how our research vision collectively are making cures possible. Let's welcome Dr. Webb Cavenee.
So first of all, let me just start by saying to all of us who are part of the NFCR ecosystem, congratulations on 50 years of making a difference. It really is a special time, this meeting. I've actually had the honor of riding this tiger, actually this tiger mom, for almost half the time of this 50 years. As both an advisor, as a friend, and as a traveling partner, as you're going to hear in a second. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an unrepentant geneticist. No apologies. And because I am a geneticist, I often think in terms of evolution. So evolutionary processes and processes which are selecting for new positive attributes. And you'll hear that that's what this foundation has been doing too. But I should point out that the evolutionary process does lead to the acquisition of new positive traits, but it also leads to dead ends. And we would like to, of course, avoid as many of those as we could. But I think if you think about organizations as an organism that's going through evolution, what's a dead end? A dead end really is self-satisfied obsolescence. And we have seen many of these sorts of organizations where they say, this is what we've done, it's what we always have done, it's what we're always going to do, and it's out of touch. So we don't want NFCR to be that. We want it to be an evolutionary process, and we want it not to be self-satisfied, and we want it not to go into obsolescence unless we cure cancer. If we cure cancer, then we can all celebrate obsolescence. But until then, I would just say that NFCR has not taken that fork in the road, thank God. Rather, it's evolved. And the evolution of NFCR is pretty easy to trace. It started, as Sujuan said, with a small number, in fact, in the beginning, just one, Albert Sangiorgi, of individuals, investigators who were supported by the NFCR. That evolved into more than one person being funded by NFCR, but still a small number. They were all superstars, very well known. Some of them, by the way, were getting a little bit old. So they didn't continue to get money after I came on. Some of them were not very happy. Many are not my friends anymore. But that we did. So we changed it from an organization that was funding hand-selected investigators to an open competition. And we have several of the people who have been beneficiaries of that open competition here. I see Nellie Polyak, for example, at this table. So that having more investigators doing more things, of course, makes it more yeasty. You hear the bubbling happening. But it doesn't really leverage. It doesn't really leverage. And so what we thought we would do is start a program which required more than one investigator and in more than one institution, and maybe an MD and a PhD. And that program has been enormously successful. The number of applications that we get are orders of magnitude more than we could ever think about funding. And the people are just terrific, and they work together. It's really worked well in fostering the team science kind of idea. The other thing that's happened since I came on, not that this was my fault, was that the organization has become more international. So we've done many things, and I'll tell you about two of those in 1 second. And the third thing that we've done is to really try to foster getting discoveries out of the academic laboratory into real clinical testing so they can get into the hands of patients. Because after all, we're really here for patients. And so, you know, having a discovery lurking in a lab for a long time isn't really doing anybody any good, maybe save the investigator getting grants. So we've really started doing that, and we've done that in a variety of ways, one of which is Aim High that Sujuan mentioned, which is essentially a subsidiary of NFCR, which is acting as a venture capital catalyst. And so many little companies have gotten seed funding from Aim High, and maybe even a little more than that. And some of these companies are moving towards getting things put through the clinics now. So we've gone from single investigator to a few investigators to a lot of investigators to investigators working together to investigators who are working together who are making discovery and pushing that through the labs and into the clinics and into companies where they can be best pushed forward. So I was thinking about how some of these things came about. And this will be sort of an adjunct to what Sujuan said. I'll give you one example. So one year, a few years ago, Sujuan and I, and a couple of other people, were climbing Huangshan Mountain, Yellow Mountain in China. I don't know how many of you have been there, but the mountain is pretty steep. And we wanted to get to the top so that we could see sunrise, because the sunrise on Huangshan Mountain is spectacular, we were told. So we're hiking up this mountain, and we're not in the greatest of shape, I must admit, but we're hiking up this mountain. And the thing that we did, which was kind of interesting, was we thought that probably at the top of the mountain there wasn't going to be any place to get a drink. So what did we do? We emptied our knapsacks and we filled them with bottles of wine. And the bottles of wine were from Great Wall. So any of you who have ever had a bit of Great Wall wine know you don't really want too much because there's a lot of formaldehyde there. So we walked and we walked and we walked, and it was really steep and it was really hot. It was nasty. We get to the top, and lo and behold, there's a grocery store. And the grocery store is full of Great Wall wine. What the heck? Let's go and go for the sunrise and see what it looks like through the lens of several bottles of Great Wall wine. Spectacular, as much as I can recall. It was really spectacular. The one thing that did happen, though, is that while we were waiting there, it's really cold on the top of the mountain. And the only hotel on the top of the mountain is a government hotel. And so we stayed in the government hotel. And one of the things the government hotel provided were PLA coats. So we had these big army coats that was basically supposed to insulate us from the cold. They didn't work very well, I must say. Pretty thin, but anyway, we had these coats on, and we're sitting there and we're drinking this nasty wine, and so we had a few hours because we wanted to get a seat. And of course, there's a lot of people who want to see the sunrise at the top, and there's a special place where you go. And so we went there, and we got there early. It was still dark, and it was really, really cold. And we're watching this, and everybody's kind of chattering, and Sujuan decides she's going to cheer us up. So she starts talking about, what are we going to do? What's our next initiative? What are we going to do? How are we going to do? What? And that turned into the Albert St. George Award. Not bad. So we came back down, and what we could remember was that we had seen the sunrise, and we were going to have a St. George Award. And the St. George Award now is in its 18th year. So that'll tell you how long ago that was. One more thing before I stop, and that is another program that NFCR has done, which got worldwide recognition actually, was a tissue bank in China. So China, of course, has very rich resources, and cancer care in China is typically centralized in big regional hospitals. So fairly easy to access patients. Not so much for Americans, of course, but to access patients and tissues from patients if it was organized, but it wasn't really organized. And so what that meant was there was a bunch of stuff that was completely useless. Recognizing that that was a problem, we decided that we were going to try to help China build a tissue bank that was of international class. And we did that in Tianjin, which was the first cancer hospital in China, and whose president was a very good friend of ours, Shishan Hao. And so we went there over and over and over and over to try to convince them to build a tissue bank, to put on liquid nitrogen, to put on alarms, to make a database and all of that stuff, which they did. And that tissue bank is now in the international class of tissue banks. And we brought the tissue bank people from NCI over there, and we got a lot of support from pharma, which participated in that also, because they couldn't get tissue in China either. But that really arose from another one of these adventures. And the adventure was that we went to Guilin. So Guilin, as you know, is the place where the pointy mountains are, and you go down the river and there's pointy mountains, and it's very, very beautiful, very serene. And we were on a riverboat, on the top of a riverboat, and Sujuan and I and Jishan were on the top of the boat, and that long boat ride there and back, was really where the idea of the tissue bank and and all of the processes which we needed to put in place to make that happen actually came about. It never would have come about if we were in his office or my office or her office, because the phone would be ringing or somebody would be knocking on the door or whatever. But there was nobody knocking on the door, and there were no phones ringing on this riverboat in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to stop with that. I just want to say that the first 50 years of this organization were spectacular. The evolution is amazing. And the fun and the memories are even better. So thank you very much, and congratulations, and congratulations.